village where I grew up from, having a bicycle with the sign of wealth. And now people have done well, succeeded, now acquired motorcycles. It's like a starter package for you to gain like medium income status. It's something that we have gone through, and I think every young person who is just out of the university, boda is the way to go. With the traffic in Kampala, boda is the way to go.
Ricky Rapa Thomson, right?
Emmanuel Daniel, the founder of the Asian Bank.
And Ricky Rapa Thomson, the co-founder of SafeBoda. SafeBoda.
Yes, that one.
Yeah. The company that is transforming Uganda. And what other countries are you in?
We have a very special interest in the African market. We have a very strong belief that the problem that exists in Kampala has manifested itself into other countries, because bodaboda literally invaded African cities. The planning was way behind, the growth was way too fast, so population took over and young people needed to find what to do. So you talk about an industry of around 10 million bodabodas across Africa, and we think we can play a very good role. We've been in Kampala, we were born in Kampala, Chirando. We've actually been in Mombasa, we've been in Nairobi. We pulled out of those markets because of the difficulties that the country, that the world went through, brought about by COVID-19. Right now, we are live in Kampala, and we are also live in Ibadan, Nigeria.
You know, there's so much to talk with you. The reason I'm so excited about talking with you is because this boda phenomenon is where a country is at a certain point in its development.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to have a boda.
Motorbike. Because originally people were working on food, and then they graduated in the society where I came from. We used to have wooden means of transport, wooden bikes, wooden wheelbarrows and stuff like that. And people acquired bicycles in the village where I grew up from, having a bicycle with the sign of wealth. And now people have done well, we've succeeded, now acquired now motorcycles, and now it looks like everyone who is making it's like a starter package for you to become a middle income, for you to gain like a middle status, a middle income status. I think a bike, a motorcycle clearly represents that. But of course now there's also a lot of growth in the interest of acquiring cars. So it's something that we have gone through, and I think every young person who is just out of the university, boda is the way to go. With the traffic in Kampala, boda is the way to go. With the tight schedules that people have, you have the likes of Chris, the like of you. Actually, when you have to run around Kampala, when you do business here, you find yourself either on a boda or sending a boda to get your stuff delivered wherever you will be. So the need for bodas is very high.
Uganda's GDP is about $800 per capita.
Yeah.
And Kenya is about 1,800, 1,600, 1,800.
Yeah.
So this is where these countries are at. And the moment it touches 800, everybody wants to have a boda. Everyone wants to have a moto something.
Yeah.
Right? And that phenomenon started, in 2012, 13?
It started way earlier than that. I think boda manifested itself in the early 2000s. Or probably started off, very few had it, I think in the 90s. Which the bikes that we were using at the time were basically, so there were people who were really doing their transportation but then using bicycles. Then they upgraded to the Japanese kind of bikes. The Japanese, I mean, like the Yamahas and the Quinquis
which were expensive.
Which were fairly expensive. Then when TVS, when the Indian manufacturers they saw opportunity, the Indians and the Chinese, when they saw opportunity in Africa, in some of these places, I think the bodas and motorcycles became way too available. I think bodas itself, I think TVS entered this country in the early 2000s, and it's been growing and growing. And when you talk to them, the numbers are more than, it's in thousands of multiplications.
And SafeBoda is the first institutionalized user of boda as a business, to organize the use of it, the value add of it, the availability of it in the marketplace
in Africa.
Right across and anywhere in Africa.
Anyone who is doing that now will have copied it.
I know where you're coming. I know where you're coming from, because you copied it from countries like Indonesia, which also had the equivalent of a boda.
Actually, today people can say, because we know about them, that they existed, but we didn't know about them at the time. We knew about the problem that we had. They need to organize our people. They need to get them better. That was it. We didn't know we were copying anything from anybody. Kind of believe that we are very original in our approach, and in concept development, even in the product development, and in the thinking of the entire organization. So
yeah, I'm not trying to capture you into anything. What I really want to capture is
the relation.
Is the evolution of an economy,
yeah,
and the relevance of a company like SafeBoda at the time of its development, right? So here, if we go onto the streets of Kampala, we see thousands of people with bodas around. And so SafeBoda has organized them into apps where you can book a boda, you can transport stuff, you can ask for somebody to deliver stuff and all that. Yeah. So SafeBoda is the app. The first formal app. How many users do you have at the moment?
Sometimes I don't want to throw these numbers, but before COVID, we were doing, I think, around over 80,000 trips a day.
In Kampala, or in total, yeah.
In Kampala. But of course, we are recovering, and right now, as I speak, we are much closer to that number.
Back to the number, yeah.
Much closer. Much closer to the number. But also, most interestingly, is that we use the period of lockdown to actually make our platform better. So we were able to develop the e-commerce platform that allows people to be able to shop. And we helped so many people, especially during the lockdown, with delivering food items, nyanya, butungulu, these are fresh items that are got directly from the markets. And by doing that, we were able to help the people, the ladies who are selling this to the market, but also help a border man get what to do and be able to run a source of living. And also, most importantly, because we were in total lockdown, also get stuff to people's doorsteps so that no one dies of hunger. So there was a real fix there. It was quite a difficult situation. We have had, I think, in Kampala, we have over 1 million downloads. I think out of over 1.5 million downloads. We've been able to complete millions of safe trips every day and millions of transactions. With that network of community, we had a lot of pressure because customers were also asking us, we're in lockdown, how are we going to get this stuff? We need the border guys. The border guys are like, we are hungry, we have families, we need to be able to work, and that fix was a very important one. Yeah.
Talk to me about Ricky Thomson, the entrepreneur.
As a person.
As an entrepreneur, I mean, at which point did it make sense to start this business? Did you start businesses before? You never finished school.
Yeah, so one interesting thing, Emmanuel, is that, when you talk about entrepreneurship at this stage, it's different from, or when I talk about entrepreneurship at this stage, it's different from 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I think there are many other young people in my state where, because to let you know about myself, I dropped out of school in 2006 after unfortunately losing my mom, who was the brain behind my education. In 2009, I lost my dad, became a total orphan, and I had siblings to take care of. I was the eldest.
How old were you then?
Around 22.
Okay.
But I had all the siblings to take care of. Now, at that state, what I was doing was I was trying to survive. And I left Lira, came to Jinja, then joined security joined the security firm as an askari, then joined bodaboda as a rider, And all I was doing was trying to survive. But as I did this, I met friends who kept on empowering me and sharing with me perspectives about life and possibly giving me ideas of things I could do that could make my life much better than what it was. And I remember very well one of the friends told me, Ricky, people want to see Kampala. They don't know how to do it. And there's no one who is doing it. Why can't you start showing people Kampala? On the back of a boda, that was the first month of my second business in life, where I started what we call the Kampala boda city tours, a sightseeing tour of this Kampala on a boda. But before that, as an askari who was working during the night.
So askari means guarding, security guard.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
Yeah. I hope I don't look like a security guard here today.
You look like Ricky Thomson, the groovy, calm, cool, man on the ground, like the man on the feel of the ground, and that's what I really, really like about who you are as a person. You haven't lost any of that feel.
Thank you.
So then at which point did it become?
And then because initially, because when people talk about my story with SafeBoda, some people think it's the first business I started. Before that, actually growing up as a young person, I was a fisherman. So, and I used to do fishing and manage my father's boats. But also besides that, my mother used to make waraji. So I used to also help my mom make sure that we get a market for this waraji, sell them, and we are able to raise school fees. So there's a little bit of that already in me. And when I started the boda tours in 2012, it went well. That's when I got sold out to many friends, many people, a lot of experts. The trigger now to start SafeBoda is around 2012 when I lost a friend to a boda accident. But as business was booming, a friend who was one of my very good partners got an accident. When he got an accident, it was around one gear. It was a very minor accident actually. So, but then he got a crack. He got a small damage in his head. He went to Bulago. They gave him some tablets and they said he was going to be fine. 2 weeks later, the guy starts to feel headache. We took him back to the hospital. Then they did the examination. They did the X-ray. Then they did the scan. Then the doctor came back. Then he said he made a statement in Uganda. If I said in English to you, he had his guy had some simple clot, but then he added in Uganda, almost day, because he was speaking to the body. That means that there was that very small clot, but then the clot has moved. It has moved closer to the brain. So the guy needed surgery, needed an operation, which was amounting to 16 million. 16 million Uganda cedis today is around $4,000. And we couldn't raise that kind of money. $4,000 even today is still not small money. It's still a lot of money. So we couldn't raise the money. But unfortunately, after 4 months, the guy died. I watched him live his life and I watched him die. And from that point, I realized, and before that, actually, I'd seen so many people get involved in accidents. Even myself, I'd actually been involved in accidents before, I think like twice. If you look at my face very well, there's actually a little bit, my face not as smooth as yours. If you look at my face very well, you can see a little bit of a damage.
Right.
There's also a cut. But every accident I got, the reason I survived was that I was actually wearing a helmet. So I would only get a cut from like the screen and stuff like that. But my friend fell, very simple accident, he didn't even have a helmet on, and a very small damage, but then that costed him his life. So, and also besides that, I'd also seen other people die, my fellow bordermen. I'd never lost a very close friend like what happened. So what I did was simple. Just like a passionate person, I started carrying the second helmet because I was offering it during the tour. I started carrying it all the time and made sure that every time I meet you, I offer you a helmet and tell you about the story of my friend and about the fact that if you ask anybody in Kampala, including your friend here, you must have seen or you must have known someone who has been involved in an accident.
Mm-hmm.
And statistically, I think you have around 10 people that die as a result of boda accidents in Uganda every single day. But people don't pay attention to this number. These are human lives that are being lost. So what I did, I started off as an advocate of road safety, and my advocacy was educating people and offering them a helmet while they sit on my border at any one moment. And of course, now that has also escalated even into the business. Today is part of the zero tolerance policy that we have, that if you're a staff and a member of SafeBoda, you can't be riding around on a border without a helmet. Like it's just basic practice. So when I started carrying a helmet, people started wanting other borders like me. The network of friends continued to grow. The network of customers continued to grow. People kept telling others about this young man called Ricky. Was a very good boda guy. And also at the time, I had one big advantage, which I think the public will also agree to. I used to speak very good English, and to be honest, when you are in
the tourism industry,
yeah, and also like in the boda industry, literally most of the guys were speaking Uganda or speak very basic English. But luckily, I don't know. I was surviving.
Oh, well done. Yeah.
I used to speak.
So English was a selling feature. It was a unique feature.
Because I was able to communicate. Communication is key to everything, literally. So, because I was able to communicate more, I got a lot of recommendations, referrals. So I reached an extent where I actually had, I think, like 20 drivers who were benefiting from just being my friend. Because I would recommend them to customers. Then now when they work well, customers recommend them. I was just like, but why can't I do something about this? This is an opportunity, because customers kept pressing me that we need more people like you. A lot of friends kept telling me, you can actually become the change, you can actually change the boda industry. And boom, as I was trying to figure out the idea, I got introduced to Max, a Belgium national who was very interested in the safety of the boda riders and the passengers as well. And myself, Max, and Alistair, we agreed to work together on an initiative that would be empowering the
And
community.
Alistair is your co-partner. And
Max and Alistair are my co-partners.
and Alistair is Max is Belgian.
Maxime Dieudonné is from Belgium,
and
and Alistair Sok is from Scotland.
okay.
He's Scottish. So, and I am Ugandan, African. So
Right.
we are a real diverse group of
Right.
people. So we formed the team, and we were able to work on the idea slowly because the idea was born around June 2014, after all that I'd gone through. And then when I met Max, we started working on it. We met like today, and we started working on the project tomorrow, because already I was really doing something, and he was really doing something. So we just needed to merge the different forces.
Right.
So we started working on the project the following day. We already had the drivers that I was already working with, so it was quite an easy thing. Let's just build this. I want to tell you one thing, that sometimes it's important to sell big dreams to people, because Max sold me a very big dream, and it made me realize how powerful this opportunity was going to be. And of course, not everything has come as we'd said it, but I'm sure we are on the right trajectory. By the end of 2015, we had 150 drivers. So we took another 1 year. By the end of 2016, we hit 1,000 drivers. By the end of 2017, we hit around 3,300 drivers. And by the end of 2018, we hit around 8,000 drivers. And today we've been able to recruit and train over 25,000 motorcycle taxi riders in Kampala, but also grown the platform to a much bigger platform, to now what we call the super app. The super app now is an area that we actually consolidated during the lockdown. We're just like, I think we can't depend on rides. Globally, most of the ride-hailing platforms have not been able to break events and be very, very profitable at the shorter period. But also we have also group of customers. We have just huge network of drivers. We have this huge network of customers, of passengers. And if we can merge them, well, first is we connect them, but two is that there are a lot of other services that they actually need, and we can just use our platform and make it better today. And that's what we are doing. We now have Ride, we now have Send, we now have payments as part of the platform. We now have a little bit of e-commerce as well. So we're literally trying to do everything that is based on data, based on experience, based on requests by the customers, and we sit down and customize. We have other new products that will be coming. You remember we were only in motorbikes. Maybe before the end of this year, we might even do cars as well. We might also do other things like crypto. I don't know, but the future is much more bigger, and we think we'll be able to do other new products that had not yet been done locally and been done successfully.
So, tell me a little bit about how much of that funding for this business started with you, and then at which point were investors become interested?
So when we started this, we had jobs. That was the most important thing, but we didn't have money. We were people, and this is usually we tell people that when you're earning and you have a job, you start to build something on the side. So as we were building SafeBoda, because I don't want to tell you that we had $100,000. No, we did. We didn't have money, but we had the dream. But all of us also had jobs, and we could take care of the small business that would come. It wasn't really a lot of it, but it was facilitation here and there, the tech development people, the team that we were working with. So started up with the little income that we actually had. And before
you put it all on an app, even from the beginning.
Yeah, there was an app from the beginning, but the app that never really works. I think we have historically we have had like 7 apps, but 5 of those really never really worked. Like they were made out of a lot of lack of experience. Yeah, the concept, the way it was developed was not progressive, and they really never worked, and it cost us a lot of money as well. So from the beginning, we had an app, and our app, I want to tell you something that we did. So because we knew that our drivers needed a smartphone for them to be connected to passengers, we bypassed the system and used GPS. So we connected our system to a GPS, and to which the GPS was installed on the bikes. And then, so what would happen is that when you request, we'll show you the top nearest three drivers based on their GPS location.
Right.
And then you would see their faces and their name and then the phone number. Then you choose who to talk to, who to call, to come and pick you. But
Right.
that gave the worst experience ever. And I want to explain this. That the GPS trackers that we had were very bad quality. And they were very slow in reaction. So in updating. So you get to realize that a guy who passed here 2 hours ago, the GPS is still locating him as he's still here.
Wow.
Where we are. So you'd call, will match customers with drivers who are cross town, and average waiting hours was like 45 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, that was so bad. That was so bad that we learned from it. But also the one we did was also not good.
Right.
And then there were a lot of others that we did.
Right.
One important thing that really happened to us, and thank God to this, is first is all of us were well established in the business, very interested. We were fully invested in it. But also we knew that there would be an opportunity for us to be able to access some funding out there. At that stage, literally, there's a story I wanted to say, but I don't know, of an investor who came in and at the time he wanted to give us $50,000 for close to 50% of the business.
Oh, okay. Okay, there were investors interested, but they wanted everything. They wanted half of it. So
no, for close to 50%. And what saved us was that first is we knew that what we had was gold, and luckily enough we had reached out to organizations like USAID, and luckily we also got funding from them. We got 150,000 grant from them at the very beginning, I think towards the end of mid 2015. And Shell Foundation also came on board. Oh my God, those people were really in for us. They supported us through every other stage that we have gone through, and
the Shell Foundation,
they really supported us. There's this lady called Lisa who came and met us. We were in Chairman though, in our office. Remember, we were in an office that we were renting 150,000 Uganda shillings, which is today could be like $30, $40. And we are looking for grant like over $100,000.
$100,000, okay.
Over 100,000. Like we're looking for serious money, but then we didn't have anything. So this lady comes to meet us, and we were busy. So we had drivers training because we only had one room, right? The office was one room, and we had drivers meeting going on, and we didn't have where to put her. So we put her under the veranda with our small chairs, the wooden chairs, and we had the meeting actually on the veranda, and the sun was actually on us all the time. All this time she was all sweating, but she showed a lot of interest in our work. right, in our idea. And so after the meeting, Max and I said, man, I don't think we're going to make it, because we didn't even give her a good reception. We didn't even give her a good chair to sit on.
Right.
And I told them, you see, she looked very interested in what we're doing. The facial reaction showed that she's interested in the work that we're doing. And I kind of feel very confident that she's going to support it. They're like, Ricky, are you sure? I said, yes. The lady looks so jolly. Like if she doesn't support us, I think she'll regret it.
Right.
She looked like she was so much into us, and she was interested
Right.
in the work that we're doing. And I have a very strong belief. 3 weeks later, we got the good news that they were going to invest in us.
Okay.
And over the last couple of years, Shell Foundation has been able to give us a grant of over $1 million in bids. So you have Shell Foundation and plus a number of other organizations. But through this grant, we're able to prove our concept and prepare and get ready for investment. Usually, when people talk about building ideas, of course, if you really have money, it's easier for you to put together the information that you have. Because I kind of look at businesses as in twofold, right? There's really, and this is, I have my own definition of it. It's really like the beginner stage, where you don't have money, and you don't have money, and you don't have numbers, right? And you don't have the money to give away the numbers. So what you sell is a dream, right? So I usually say at that stage, I am literally trying to confuse myself that what I'm trying to do is the right thing. And I'm also trying to convince the people around me that what I'm doing is the right thing. And whoever accepts to support my confusion and my thinking at the time, he accepted to be fooled by me. So there's a possibility, which is not it's a possibility that we could lose it all, or we could succeed and you reap big. So there's also benefit in taking a risk. Right? So at that very early stage, whoever invests in you is a true believer of your concept. Whoever does not invest in you at that stage,
never understood it in the first place.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
And usually what happens, people choose to invest in personalities.
Yes. On the person, not the business.
Yeah, like they're just like, I need this man to succeed. I need this girl to succeed. I need this old man to succeed. So let me invest
in the people,
in the person.
Yeah.
I trust you. You don't have the right numbers. You don't have the right presentation.
But I trust you.
I trust you. You don't have the right experience. You, man, I trust you. So don't let me down.
Yeah.
Right? So the people that invested in us at the very beginning, I think they are the true people that trusted us so much. And even those who couldn't, because recently, talking about investment, we had Google that made a bet that invested in SafeBoda, right? This is unheard of. They've never invested in Uganda. They've never even invested in East Africa, right? And this is a true sign of belief. It's more spiritual.
Yes.
That a big organization like that chooses to come and invest in you. It means they have seen something very special about you, and they feel like I better be part of this at an early stage.
What is this special thing about you that you think was attractive to investors?
I think it's not.
English?
I think no. I think the attraction was not just about me. It was about us. The combination of 3 people from different parts of the country, with no kind of connection and it's with no kind of 3 people from different parts of the world. With diverse kind of experience and exposure, I think was
a selling feature.
Was one of the things that
because you would have the execution ability to get it done, right?
Yes,
so because each of you bring different skills and each of you keep each other honest and so on.
And you keep each other in check as well, and we have a very good working relationship even up to today. That we continue to prosper together as a team, and we celebrate everything together as a team. And we have committed to walk this journey together, because SafeBoda is not for us. We don't own SafeBoda. We are doing this for the public. We're doing this for the people. We're doing this for the bordermen. We're doing this for the food vendors. We've been in this for our merchants. We're doing this for our Uganda that we so much love, the Pearl of Africa. we've invested our life into making sure that we are part of the history that needs to be created, and no one else is going to create it.
Okay.
We are the people that are
there up in front. So where was Ugandan society at the start of your business, and where is Ugandan society today in terms of its a level of sophistication and ability to absorb this kind of technology and so on?
I tell you, at the time when we started this, people used to ask us, people used to make a statement, and they would say, but why? They would ask you, why would I need a boda? Why would I need an app for a boda? At the time, smartphone penetration, I think in Kampala was a little bit around 30%, around 20-30%. Many people didn't have that many smartphones. I'm talking about 2014. And internet usage was still, internet adoption was even low. It was still very expensive for you to buy data. At the time, actually, even as a person, data was expensive. I think at the time, an average smartphone was a smartphone that would work would be like around $100 as of to date, which was high. Today, as we speak, you could easily get a smartphone that actually works for half the price, or even lower, or even on installment basis. Right. Which was not there at the time. So the coming in of companies like Itel, Infinix, which is actually Transsion, these Chinese brands have really helped in increasing adoption and penetration. Also the competition in the market, especially with the data. You had MTN, Airtel,
the telco
companies, and then they're coming in of Vodafone, Smile, and all these guys also created a bit of a competitive environment. And there was a little bit of a drop as well in the prices. Today, as we speak, of course, internet access, we still advocate for better internet access and pricing, especially in Kampala, given that literally in the entire East Africa, it looks like we are still very, very expensive. Compared to a country like Kenya, compared to a country like across border like Rwanda, we're still fairly very expensive, and we think that is something that can be played around with and can be lowered. And also we're advocating for the reduction in like literally zero tax on electronics. Putting a lot of tax on smartphones, on computers, just hinders its penetration, and that affects the development of new projects and new products.
And what about people? The people on the street. Technology is one part of the evolution, but the people bit.
So at the time, really, around 20, when we started, when you had a smartphone, it was more of a luxury. So it was like a sign of wealth.
Show off.
Show off, and you would actually have to keep it very well because it could easily be snatched away from you and stuff like that. Today, really, I think a smartphone has become a necessity in people's lives, families. You have the wife has a smartphone, the husband has a smartphone, the kid, the maids have smartphones and stuff like that, especially in those well-established families, but also even in the middle class. And the coming, even the boda riders today, they have smartphones, their wives also have smartphones. Smartphone has become a way of life, and it's become a necessity, and it ceases from being seen as a luxury equipment to I need to have it because I need to communicate, I need to do business, I need to do my Zoom meeting. Young people are on TikTok, they need to do their TikTok videos. People on Instagram, they need to make their posts. People on Facebook need to follow up. People on Twitter, and also there's also a new breed of young people who actually got themselves opportunities by just tweeting and being there on social media.
Wouldn't have existed otherwise.
Yes, and these are also new breeds of opportunities and employment.
So what's the next level?
And also besides that, smartphone is really like a big learning tool.
Platform.
A big learning platform, right? When people join Facebook, some people think that it's just a bad thing, right? But Africans are very bad at reading. But when they go to Facebook and they find a story that is interesting, they'll read. So you get to realize that there's a transformation that is happening. Unknowingly, you're getting to read. Unknowingly, you're getting to listen to a lot of videos, even the YouTube one. And all these things have got an impact on you and the way you think about life, the way you look at life, and it's just the miraculous thing that is happening. Yeah. Have you found articles on WhatsApp group and you decided to read through them, and they're long as long?
And well, people want to have an idea of what's going on, so the reading culture takes it from there.
Yeah.
But where is Uganda now in terms of the sophistication of reading, of using apps, and being mobile?
Today we have gotten way better. As I said earlier on, the smartphone penetration has greatly increased. In Kampala, you're looking at around 60% of the population now have got smartphones. Of course, still based in the urban settings. In rural settings, we still have infrastructural issues, network issues is still very bad, and we keep advocating for that improvement. Of course, in some areas where you have the interest of government in promoting tourism, they improve the network so that when our tourists are in those places, they can still be able to access internet and communicate and share their experience, which is a good thing. But also on the other side, there's been a lot of development. You have a lot of companies, young companies that are growing, that are popping up. Recently, when you look at statistically, I think the entire last year, Uganda, of course, it's not comparable to Kenya, but you had over $80 million as of investment that came into Uganda. Of course, that's not something you compare to like a country like Kenya that had, I think, over $300 million, but also that you can compare to like Nigeria that had like over $1 billion dollars worth of investment, and those attractions are actually coming about because of the different appreciations and the different development and innovation that is actually going on. Today you have, even when you look at the fintech space, you have big players like the likes of SafeBoda, the likes of Way, MTN, Airtel, the telecoms. And these guys are really competing with the banks, and all the banks are really trying to now digitize their platforms. And you are actually recently, there's a bank called Standard Chartered Group, right? They closed off most of its branches and they closed off lots of its branches during the lockdown, and I don't think they think they're going to reopen. Lots of people lost their jobs, but then everything lots of it went digital. They make sure they have an app that works, and then it's integrated with their mobile money, so that you can easily access your money at any one moment that you actually want. So some of these things really, it's a reflection. Most of the banks, talk about Centenary, Top Finance, all these microfinance institution, Pride, every other guy, Stanbic, all these guys, Equity Bank, Absa, they all have a digital platform, right? They all have a digital way of banking, and that's now a move to show that we cannot deal without this. We cannot stay behind that. And also, government has gone ahead to do adjustments in these policies, in making sure that we are, as a country, we're also ready. I tell you, the recently when government passed the NPS Act,
Digital Payments
the Digital Payment Act, that now allowed us to legally do our job. While for like the last, when did mobile money come? In 2000. Right. And they had been operating for all these years.
Without
maybe in the early 2000s, 2005, 2006.
Without a license. Without a license regime and without law in place.
So now, because now investors also are, when they want to invest in this kind of space, they're like, okay, but what does the law say? Okay, the law says nothing, and then
right. So now that the law says what it is, it's easier to make an investment because you're clearer which part of the regulation.
Yeah. And also you're developing a lot of success stories because you have companies that are also expanding. You actually have companies like Sibuko that is building all this the circle management system. That is producing, that is actually proving that it's raised over $1 million, right? You have companies that are doing buy financing like Together that has raised over $30 million. You have companies like Asak that recently raised around $31 million. And these are figures that sounds like it's not in this country, but it is in this country, right? And all these figures reflects on the population, reflects on the job creation, reflects on the economy, reflects at the national level, and then investors get to see it and they're like, because TechCrunch wrote about what? Wrote about ASAC. Now everyone is interested. TechCrunch wrote about SafeBoda. The world gets to see us.
Right.
We now you have also interviewed me, so the world is going to see us.
Absolutely, absolutely. In China and in Southeast Asia, maybe anything that's a platform, okay, or there was a period where the early days of platform. If you take WeChat or you take Alipay, they created an incredible ecosystem, incredible supply chain capability.
Yeah.
In China, there's something called the Singles Day, 11/11, okay, where everybody goes shopping on that day on digital. And Alibaba that initiated Singles Day.
Yeah.
Today, I forget the number, but it's in the billions of dollars. It's like 40,000 vehicles, trucks around the country, doing deliveries, thousands of flights, aeroplanes, and all the shopping is done in that one day. And it's got like 200,000 merchants, so it revolutionized the idea of shopping.
Yeah.
Okay, and it created an entire industry which never existed before, and brought together the buyers and sellers, and there are companies that exist only on Singles Day because they make all their sales on Singles Day. They can close the factory.
Then they can go and party
For the rest of the day.
Yeah.
When you look at a country like Uganda and you say the GDP is of a certain number, and the per capita is a certain number, the things that people buy and sell is in a certain way, and everybody is also very cash centric.
Yeah.
Do you see part or as SafeBoda as being the kind of a platform that can create a new economic reality in Uganda and in other countries in Africa?
I think we are well placed into making sure that comes into existence or into reality. It's not something that will happen in one day. It's not something that will happen in 1 year, but it's something that will add up into the different efforts that are being put together into achieving the end goal.
It will happen. What did you say? It will happen.
What I'm saying is that we are historically will be one of the biggest contributors in making sure that comes into reality.
Okay.
Because it's not a one-off, right? When you ask yourself today, why are people more comfortable with moving money in cash than maybe carrying a card or using a wallet, right? It goes back to a number of questions. One is, how do you get your money, right? So there are people who get their salaries, and the salary is transparent. You already paid tax on it. It's clear. There are people who do selling of their products. They have a product that they bring from their farms, and they sell it out. And then do they want government to know that I have made this kind of money from selling this product? Definitely no, because it's going to come with also a responsibility on your side
to pay the tax.
Right? Also, maybe I have got my money by walking into your room when you are not there, or manipulating systems or kickbacks and stuff like that. So it's more what you would call like corruption, right? I got my money the wrong way. Would I really be more comfortable declaring it?
So corruption is the biggest impediment towards digitization.
It's one of those, right? But of course, the players are also limited. And you only have a window. You can't keep playing it for the rest of your life. Time will catch up with you, and the law will catch up with you at a certain point. So we are advocating, because there's actually, we are advocating and advising government on things that can be done if we want to see Uganda become digitally appreciated, right? But I want to tell you this, that today, mobile money movement it's one of the most famous. But why? Because people want to send money to their loved ones and to their relatives and old ones in the village. If you look at how many people are using the mobile money platform or the digital platform to make payment, even on food and fuel, there are very few. The reason is that some businesses don't want to do that because it has a cost, I think around 2 or 3%, that is taken away from their collection, right? That's one. Two is that it opens them to risk because now the government can get to know how much money you're bringing in and at what time you bring what amount of money. And that kind of should be a real situation for you as a business. But also three is that it can still, the environment still appreciates, like, for you to show that your car, the guys who work with cash are still being celebrated and appreciated. And I kind of look at it as it's still, it's still a double standard. In other parts of the world, if you say you don't have money, people don't have any problem with it. But do you have a card? Do you have your credit card with you?
Yeah.
Yes. So if you have your card, you have your money, right? But in this country, if you still don't have cash with you, you can actually sleep angry in some places. I mean, if you come here into a nice place like this, you could easily swipe your card, right? But these places are very limited and for certain groups.
Understand.
If you travel deep in the village, you cannot use your card to pay for anything.
What is your vision for SafeBoda?
We are, as I said earlier on, we are a community-driven organization. We want to do anything and everything that makes lives of people better. And that's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
And nothing more, nothing less. when you make the lives of people better, what are the 100 different ways you can make the lives of people better?
I want to tell you this, that a boda man who works with us used to work, and he used to earn the money that he earned. Of course, he earned a little bit more. But he used to be disrespected in the society. When he comes to SafeBoda, he gets the training from SafeBoda Academy, he gets the branding and identity that I'm a well-trained, certified boda motorcycletaxi rider with this name on its reflector, just like mine. And he has his helmet, he becomes an ambassador of road safety. He starts to carry a second helmet. He starts to teach people that it's important for you to take care of yourself. He starts to behave and respect the traffic flow and makes the life of a taxi driver or the other guy in the car better. He stops jumping on the pavement. He allows these other people who want to walk and be healthier to enjoy their freedom of being able to walk. Right? That's one aspect of life. Society doing what is right, and society appreciating others, and society working in unity is the best thing that you want to see. I just gave you one snapshot, right?
What is your dream for Uganda or Africa?
First is I'm very proud of Uganda. I love my country, and I hope one day we'll be able to change. We are one of the most beautiful countries. Extremely green. You can see outside. Can you see that?
It is very green.
Nice people. These beautiful smiles. You can't compete with some of this thing. Yes. But we actually, today as we speak, we have the largest group of young people. I mean, close to 85% of this population are young people. But then the reality strikes again. Close to 40% of these people are unemployed. And we think we can do something about this. And we've not been able to appreciate and move faster and compete at international level with some of the work that we actually do. And I think it's time that we first stop importation of technology and two, start exporting technology, because we can do it. If other country can do it, we can also do it. If India was able to do it, we can do it. If Asia was able to do it, we can do it. If China was able to do it, we can do it. If America was able to do it, we can do it. But how would we do it? By investing in our own people and protecting the national interest of our country. Because Uganda belongs to us. Even if I travel to any other country in the world and they give me citizenship, I'll never feel at home, because home is home. Me, I come from Dokolo. My village is called Arapi, and my name is Rapa Thomson Ricky. I am a Ugandan. And even when I'm in Kampala, I feel like I need to go back to the village, because that's where the real home is. So this is all I have. Uganda is where I belong, and Uganda is where I want to do my magic from. My children will start from wherever they will find Uganda. But me, I have to make sure we are part of the history that we so badly want. You see, when we read about some of the mystery and histories in other parts of the country, you think we don't admire to have them here? We also want people to read, and they're like, is this fiction? Is it real? That's what we want. And we are here, and we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it. Invest in us and see. We will do it. We will do it. We will. We will watch out.
And because of you, and because of you, and people like you, and because of SafeBoda, Uganda will do it.
Yeah. We will do it. We will. No doubt about it. Like, I'm extremely confident because the amount of energy and the amount of knowledge that we're acquiring, and the amount of investment that is going on in this country. It might be at a slow pace, but for me, it's a very big step ahead. Like, because this is not what I used not to see these things, because I see something better than what was there. Yeah.
Thank you for talking to me today.
You're welcome. And thank you guys. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe to this channel. Make sure you are a friend and reach out to us through Emmanuel Daniel, the Asian bankers. Please come and invest in Uganda. Ricky Rapa Thomson says so.